Facebook one.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you all for being here. Shabbat Shalom. We are
Good
so
Shabbos.
happy that you're here with us tonight. And so I'm going to ask everybody who's here on stream, welcome. We are going to be posting our Siddur tonight, our prayer book, on the stream. Well, unfortunately, we can't post the Zoom because we don't want to post, it looks too strange. So we have the opportunity to have two different angles of the rabbi tonight, one that's going directly to the stream that's on our bima, and one that I can look at you and say hi, and I can see who is here. So I am so thrilled that you're here. Shabbat Shalom. We're having a service experiment tonight. This service is an alternative service for those who crave variety, as for those who would like to explore avenues of alternative worship. This worship service tonight does not necessarily reflect a belief in God. And it's maybe that idea that there is a God, but God doesn't engage in the everydayness of the lives of the human beings on earth. It's just an opportunity for us to explore and reflect in Jewish liturgy how to have a service that doesn't necessarily have the God element in it. Lesser known fact, in the gates of repentance, that's the wrong one. That's the machzor, the one that we use for our high holidays. In the gates of prayer, which was the blue book, that was even before the gray book, which was much smaller. In the blue book, there were 10 different services. Service number 7 was a service that did not reflect, in the English, a belief in God. It still had all of the Hebrew, and it still said the Shema, but it didn't have any liturgical component that had God in it. So our Reform liturgy beseeches us to pray as if everything depends on God, but to act as if everything depends on us. And tonight, we're going to explore how it feels to act as if everything depends on us, and that our prayer reflects the element of mankind that says nothing else is out there, so we better get busy. It is our job to take up the mantle, to go and fix all that is broken in our world, in ourselves, and in all the universe. So I appreciate your being with me this evening to explore our more on the humanist side of Reform Judaism, this liturgy that does not reflect necessarily a belief in God. Keep your mind open and let the prose wash over you. You see, many years ago, before I became the rabbi here, I served a congregation in Cincinnati, Ohio, called Congregation Beth Adam. And this service was adapted from their liturgy with a little bit of inspiration from other sources. One inspiration that we're going to use tonight is Terry Shapiro, who's going to be singing our opening song, Hine Ma Tov.
Can we unmute everybody?
You're
You
good,
can
Terry.
sing with me? Maybe? No?
No,
Okay.
no. Terry, you can't have people singing with you on Zoom, so you're going to sing, honey. We're going to keep everybody
Okay.
else muted.
Okay, well, sing along at your homes.
There you go.
Hine ma tovu manayim, shever achim gam yachad. I can see some people's mouths moving. Hine ma tovu manayim, shever achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov. Ya la la, ya la 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 la. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov. Ya la la, ya la 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 la. Hine ma tovu manayim, shever achim gam yachad. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Thank you, Terry. And we continue with our candle blessing. It is my pleasure to invite to our virtual bima, our virtual screen, Mary Hasten.
Night seeps upon from the ground. Light falls from the stars, distant, icy, ancient beyond all who came before. But the light of the Sabbath is warm. The light of the Sabbath is ours. The light of the Sabbath is of this time, of this place, of lives that know the past only in a dream. As we kindle these lights, we create a place of warmth. As we kindle these lights, we welcome time for reflection. As we kindle these lights, we stake our claim, and while these lights burn, the time is ours.
Baruch Haor Ba'olam, blessed is the light within the world. Baruch Haor Ba'adam, blessed is the light within each person. Baruch Haor Ba'Shabbat, blessed is the light of Shabbat. We continue with Cynthia Mark Hummel doing a reading.
There we go. Sorry about that. As Shabbat approaches, the evening beckons us, inviting us to slow the pulse of our daily activities, to consider a different pace. It is at this time, at the end of our hectic week, that we create a silent space, a place to deepen our awareness of the passage of time. We pause to renew our vision, to refresh our spirit, to embrace the wonders of life. As Shabbat approaches, we dare to dream. The dusk softens the stark light of reality, which often looks harsh, uncompromising, unbending. The night can intensify our imagination, encourage our hopes.
We continue with the next slide with Julie Benario doing a reading for us as well about Shabbat.
May we use this time, this Shabbat, to renew our confidence. Let us look not only at the fragility of our lives, at our trials and disappointments. Let us emphasize the strength of our lives, the successes, the many pleasures that make up the fabric of our lives. Shabbat reminds us of the passage of time, encouraging us to use our time wisely, giving meaning to our lives. Shabbat reminds us of the beauty in life, allowing us to reflect upon the joys, the treasured moments in our days. Shabbat reminds us of the values of our Jewish heritage, prompting us to use this time, as did our ancestors, to consider what gives value to our lives.
And before we go on to the next slide, may I just say that Julie, had I known that you'd bring the Ganze Megillah, you'd bring the whole family, all the kids, I would have given you a part years ago. So
There you go.
welcome back, Benario boys, and Jamie too. We're so happy you're here. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you.
And so we continue with Let the Shabbat Be, Let the Sabbath Be by Bruce Beiersdorf.
Let the Sabbath be. Let the Sabbath be a time for believing in what could be and seeing with new eyes. In this serious world, let us take ourselves less seriously. In these harsh times, let us listen for a soothing word. While the world around us unfolds in an instant, let us judge each other a little more slowly. Let the Sabbath shine a light into a corner of ourselves where hope is renewed. Let us remember a reason to be joyful, a way to be gentle.
We continue singing together with Ma Yafeh Hayom. Ma Yafeh Hayom Shabbat Shalom, Ma Yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom, Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. It is my pleasure to invite to our virtual bima at this time, Leah Dicker Notaris.
To this place, we come to lengthen our perspective. To this place, we come to question and explore. In this place, we awaken our imaginations. In this place, we draw strength as we allow ourselves to dream. Together, we share the challenges of an ever-changing world, a world often beyond our control, incomprehensible and frightening. Together, we seek to find meaning, ease our fears, understand our purpose. Together, we share the burden and the blessing of responsibility. Today, we join together in the safety of community as we reflect on our Jewish heritage. Today, we join together in the bond of community as we celebrate this moment.
And so we sing together the hope that nation shall not lift up sword against nation, and never again shall we know war. Lo Yisagoy. Lo Yisagoy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo Yisagoy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo Yisagoy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo Yisagoy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo Yisagoy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo Yisagoy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. It is my pleasure to invite to our virtual bima at this time to read our next reading, Michael Stoller. Michael Stoller.
I believe that we have the power to make tomorrow different from today. I believe that poverty need not be permanent and people not learn war forever. I believe in people despite the misery and suffering we sustain. I believe that there can yet be a time of peace and a time of justice, a time of unity for all who live on earth. I believe that we share the task of bringing that day closer by the way in which we live. The world may smile at my dreams, but no matter, I still believe.
At this time in our worship service, our thoughts turn to those of our communities and families who are ill and in need of healing. This evening, we think of Jill Levant, Elwood Frederick Bryan, Rick Westerman, Karen Levinson, Laura Alberton, Martin Kolber, Mark Zellman, Sarah Vered Bat Shoshana, Richard Hoffman, Evan Georgie Johnston, Kathleen Minardi, Margie Sufi, Sheila Alterman, Bridget Bobb, Sharon Gutsky, Ronnie Brown, Carol Nymark, Larry Nymark, Daniel Bongino, Joan Balin, Mike Dunn, Kathleen Archambault, Beverly Eisenhut, Estherina Grossman, Rabbi Ellen Dreyfus, Shirin Shamsi, Jay Field, and all who suffer, whom we know not by name. Misha Berach Avotenu, Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'Imotenu, Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah, Hu yivarech v'rapeh et kol cholei Yisrael, vayishlach lahem bimheira, refuah shlema, refuah nefesh, refuah guf, v'nomar. Amen. May all who ail be blessed and healed. Like our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. May all who ail be mercifully restored to health and to vigor. May they have health of body, health of spirit, and of mind. And let us sing together, say together, Amen. And let us sing together, Misha Berach. Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishe Beirach Imotenu Mikor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. It is my pleasure to invite to the bima at this time to read May I Discover, Janice Abelman.
May I discover the ability to feel the pain of others, work for others, among others, and there come to feel a part of that to which I belong. May I discover the ability to be alone so that I can go out of doors each day, among the flowers and trees, among the birds and all that live, beneath the sky of stars and planets, and there come to feel a part of that to which I belong. May I discover the ability to sit in silence so that I may hear not the voice of others, but my own voice, the beat of my heart, the sound of my breath, the utterance of my soul, and here come to feel a part of that to which I belong.
So, in traditional congregations, on Friday evenings, we don't read Torah. Why is that? Because Torah is really supposed to be read Mondays, Thursdays, and Shabbat on Saturday. But because of soccer practice and the practicalities of life, about 100 years ago, the Reform rabbi said, our congregations are not hearing Torah. And when do most people go to services? On Friday nights. And so they put the Torah service on Friday evenings. Well, tonight, as long as we're doing a service that does not reflect necessarily a belief in God, it is difficult to bless the Torah with the Aliyah. And so instead, I thought I would teach a little Torah and give everyone an opportunity to reflect about how they have felt about this service. And so I begin with our Torah portion for this Shabbat, Vayishlach. The story is that Jacob has lived away from Canaan for 20 years, and it was finally time for him to leave. And in last week's Torah portion, we know that in the middle of the night, he and his wives and all of the livestock and their children left Haran, left his father-in-law Laban, and went toward Canaan. In our Torah portion this week, it begins with Jacob and his family returning back to Canaan, only to hear that his long-lost brother Esau is heading toward them with 400 men of an army with loins girded. It's a very frightening time. Frightening times seem to be that which marks history. Once again, we are living during frightening times. And it causes us to ask the question, why do bad things happen, not only to good people, but just in general? And so, we take Shabbat as an opportunity to reflect, to feel the hurt, to feel the pain, to go away from the distraction of the world and contemplate our souls. And what we find out is through Shabbat rest, we can heal. And from the healing, we ask the question, bad things happen, and that we're powerless over. But what are we not powerless over? Action. The question, what do we do now? Well, the Torah portion this week tells us that Jacob had a lot to do. He prepares his family for war. Then he prays to God. And then he divides up his family into two camps. The first thing he does actually was he sends his brother lots of gifts. An Xbox, maybe a Nintendo Switch, I don't know. You have to use your imagination of all the wonderful things that he sent to Esau. And so, after he sends those gifts and then he prays, he realizes, well, let me separate my family into two camps. If Esau attacks, one camp at least can get away and continue my name. You see, the rabbis are split about why Jacob took action. Did Jacob take action because prayer is good, but prayer plus action is the right way to go? Or, as the rabbis argue, was Jacob a non-believer in God, and he said, prayer is great, but what if there is no God? I have to act. And so, Jacob took actions, not only by sending his brothers gifts, not only by praying just to cover his base, but really to separate his family into two camps, just in case. Well, Esau did not attack Jacob. In fact, Esau embraced Jacob and embraced him and wished him peace and allowed him to come back to the land of Canaan. Rabbis will say, see, prayer worked. Other rabbis said, no, it's not the prayer that worked, it was the Nintendo he sent. And still other rabbis say it was a combination, God, prayer, and the gifts. In Judaism, there are times that we don't believe in God, when we're frightened, when bad things have happened to us. And Judaism is strong enough as a religion to say, you don't have to believe in God. You are allowed to have times or moments or lifetimes of disbelief. In fact, the Shema is not even a prayer, it is a watchword. The Shema is the watchword of our faith. It is a declaration. But there's no recourse if you don't believe or you choose not to say the Shema. A watchword, by the way, is a word or a phrase or a declaration which expresses a person or a group's core aim or belief. So we want everyone to believe that there's God, but our actions have to also show that we have to take it up. In fact, Reformed liturgy says, pray as if everything depended upon God, but act as if everything depends upon us. There was a large and precious ruby that had wonderful power. Whoever held the ruby close to his or her heart found that his or her life was blessed with kindness and understanding. This ruby was owned by a jeweler who cut and polished it so perfectly that everyone was astounded by its beauty. The jeweler had 3 grown sons, and each one begged his father for the ruby. The time came for the jeweler to go on a long journey, and the sons each asked for the privilege to keep the ruby so that he could watch over it. When he was about to leave, the jeweler gave each of his sons the ruby, saying, "This is for you and for you alone." And when he was gone, the 3 sons were surprised to find out that each ruby that the sons had received all looked identical. And each one claimed that they had the true jewel and that the other jewels were false, and they accused each other of tricks and lies. Finally, they went to a rabbi and told the rabbi the story, and they said to the rabbi, which one of these rubies is the real one? The rabbi studied all 3 rubies but could not find a single difference. And finally he said, I can't tell you, only your Father knows the difference. Well, the sons were deeply distressed. They were about to leave again when the rabbi said, I can tell you how to prove that your ruby is not the false one. Tell us, the sons begged. And the rabbi said, whoever holds the ruby close to his heart will find that his life is blessed with kindness and understanding. Live your life in such a way that you always act with kindness and understanding, and then the whole world will say that your jewel cannot be false because your life is truly blessed. Let us always pray as if everything depended upon God, but let us always act as if everything depends upon us, and that our jewel cannot be the false one because our life is truly blessed. Shabbat Shalom. Eitz Chaim hi lemachazikim ba v'tomecheha meushar deracheha darchei noam v'chol netivotecha shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Chadesh Yameinu Kikedem. It is my pleasure at this time to invite to our ceremonial bima to read our announcements for the congregation, Jacob Cinnamon Murphy.
Thank you, everyone, for coming to service. I'm Jacob Cinnamon Murphy, and I'm representing the Board of Directors tonight. Thank you to Rabbi Koznowski for leading our very unique and engaging service this evening, as well as for the beautiful music. Next Friday, December 11th, we will observe Hanukkah together virtually with services starting at 6 p.m. with Cindy Michaelossi leading our music. Of course, since Hanukkah is now less than a week away, if you haven't done your shopping yet, the Sisterhood is having their first virtual Hanukkah sale. All details of this can be found in the latest email, but also reach out to Ronnie Markwell or Marcia Sweeten for any questions. The Sisterhood will also host their virtual cook together on Zoom this Sunday at noon. Please reach out to Ronnie Markwell if interested. Due to COVID-19, while we aren't able to be with our friends and family for Hanukkah, we'd love to share in the joy of the holiday together with a video montage. Please help us with this project by submitting a short video, 15 seconds or less, with you, your family, your pets, etc., wishing our Eitz Chaim community a happy Hanukkah. Please submit your videos by this Monday, December 7th, to Marla Friedman. Join Rabbi Koznowski this Wednesday evening, December 9th, at 7 p.m. for a meaningful virtual discussion of the December Dilemma. We will dive into interfaith observations and retaining the Jewish identity during this month. Reminder that Torah study resumes tomorrow at 9 a.m., along with the Melton class of Understanding Kabbalah this Sunday at noon. Thank you all so much, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. And now I welcome anyone who would care to share a few moments of reflection about how this service has affected them, or any other thoughts about coming to a service, our experiment in liturgy that does not reflect a belief in God. And I'm going to ask if you know how to raise your virtual hand on Zoom to do so at this time. Oh, good. Paul Farber.
It's been a very interesting service. Having been brought up in an Orthodox congregation, it's a very enjoyable service, just different from our regular one, and different can be good. That's it.
Thanks, Paul. Would anyone else like to share? Oh, hi, Anne.
Hey, Rabbi, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I agree with Paul, and that was why I was curious to come. Where I grew up in Grand Rapids, Michigan, it was, as they used to say, very reform, and they took a long time to switch prayer books, and when I was a kid, my family would have loved this service. That's it. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. People are surprised to hear that there is an element of the humanist, if you will, within the Reform movement. In fact, having run the spectrum of Jewish belief and practice, growing up a conservative Jew, becoming a Reform Jew, serving a congregation that's not part of the humanist movement, but was also not allowed to be accepted by the Reform movement because they would not say the Shema and recite the Mourner's Kaddish. It was just interesting to develop the language that would enable me to be able to speak with people who didn't necessarily believe in God, or if not atheist, agnostic, that they believed there was a God, but that God didn't interfere with our lives in everyday practice. And so I think it's an important ability to be able to speak with people who have different beliefs, because I believe that our theology and our belief in God wanes and waxes and increases and decreases at different parts of our lives, sometimes depending on our experiences. And so I wanted to make a space for those of us who would care to reflect and engage with a different kind of liturgy, to just open it up to say, you are welcome here, and we don't care what you believe, we just want to be your community. And so for those who can't believe, don't believe, or were just curious, welcome. We're glad you're here. We continue now on our next slide, and we will be led by Ed Silverstein.
It is up to each one of us to be informed and to consider carefully. But ideas are inert if they are not infused with life through acts of love and kindness. To know where we stand is crucial. To act is to be counted. May the visions of our dreams and the wishes of our hearts be fulfilled. The cycle of life unfolds. Just as we rejoice in life, we mourn its final ending, the inevitable death of those whose lives have touched ours. Tonight we join with others as we say aloud the words which help us to recall those we have lost. We remember the moments we have shared, the laughter and the tears, the beauty and the pain. Inevitably, as our lives intertwined, as we have touched one another, we have been influenced, changed, enriched by their presence.
And so as we mourn their loss, we celebrate their lives. And thus the cycle continues, their lives forever marking the continued unfolding of our own. We pause at this time to reflect upon those who are no longer among us. This moment of remembrance links life to life and generation to generation. This Shabbat we recall with tremendous love Lorraine Darko, mother of Lori Silver, Elliot Fidlow, father of Barry Fidlow, Eli Mark, father of Cynthia Mark Hummel, Elizabeth Pelta, Julius Sears, father-in-law of Margaret Sears, Gladys Drummer, grandmother of Julie Evans, Albert Hirschkoff, husband of Donna Hirschkoff, Edward Priesky, Chester Williamson, father of Mary Hasten, Wilbur Zweig, father of Marcia McCrae, Margaret Beiersdorf, mother of Bruce Beiersdorf, Greg Benario, brother of Howard Benario, Laser Hasten, father of Ronald Hasten, Norman Silverstein, grandfather of Edward Silverstein, and David Silverstein, Norm Silverstein, father of Edward Silverstein, and David Silverstein, grandfather of Edward Silverstein, Mary Sutton, grandmother of Anne Merman, Lowry Walthausen, grandfather of Leah Ely, Michael Freed, father of Jack Freed, Marjorie Kotzen, mother of Sharon Froelich, Audrey Wallach, mother of Cynthia Salomon, Rose Weissman, grandmother of Michael Field, Felicia Hockman, mother of Amy Licken, Wilma Eagerman, mother of Aaron, Andrea, and Corey Eagerman, Simon Lerner, father of Lawrence Lerner, Robert Simons, father of Gwen McCallion, Erwin Fine, father of Bradley Fine, Arnold Mannheim, uncle of Kim Leffert, Eleanor Stolber, sister of Freda Unaganst, Sidney Unger, father of Carol Wolfson. We mourn the recent passing of Donald Marks, father of Robin Dombeck and grandfather of Kyle Dombeck, John Coover, father of Nicole Coover Thompson, Ivan Stern, father of Elise Sirabasi, and June Small Parker, cousin of Ann Stewart. We continue with a reading by Mike Field.
Death cannot take that which is locked in our hearts. With our tears and our sorrow, we remember. With our courage and our strength, we do not forget. Acts of kindness, deeds of courage will remain. Silent reflection, discussion. Beauty created, wisdom shared, is not lost. With our tears and our sorrow, we remember. With our tears and our sorrow, we remember.
We continue with Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish, and I invite everyone who cares to do so to please join me in reciting the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach yirutei v'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agalalu v'zman kari v'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam ulmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'yimru, Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru, Amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru, Amen. May the memory of good people bless our days. Bless our days, bless our days. Zecher tzadik livracha, livracha. Zecher Tzadik Livracha. Please be seated. Our final reading will be led by Jack Freed. Jack?
Thank you, Rabbi. May we know blessings those who are near. May we know blessings those who are afar. May the Sabbath bring its goodness to everyone soon, wherever they are. May we know blessings through the day. May we know blessings through the night. May health be for our children, all things soon be right. May we know blessings in our comings. May we know blessings when we depart. May we live each day with peace and wisdom in each heart. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Osei Shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru v'imru amen. Osei Shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru v'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru v'imru amen. May Shabbat serve as the soul reset that we need to go out into the world and bring peace, harmony, and truly our greatest selves. So may we be partners with the proverbial God, the life force that underlies all things. And may we be part of the ongoing creation, the revelation of Torah, and the healing of the world. To boil it down to the vernacular and ancient wisdom, may the force be with you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.